So first of all, Happy New Year, Happy Lunar New Year to all of you physically here today. We have probably about 30 to 40, and then we probably have over 100 on Zoom. And many of my students, EMBA students, actually on Zoom tonight. So, and also, I think Edmund is here as well. So our EMBA student. So good evening, right? So it's cold out there, but I'll make sure that we have a warm section today. Warm is not like hugging you, but giving you some warm analysis about the digital field today. So let me start my slides, if I can get the, over there. Good. Right? So I think Howard talked about a very, very important thing about the program. But I pick up two keywords there. I don't know how much you pick up from Howard. It's not just the introduction of our EMB program. He actually mentioned about two words that got into my mind. One is diversity, right? By showing some pictures to you, rather than telling you how many females, how many males that we have, then you are much more impressed, and the image already in your brain. So images, well, we will say that, okay, this cartoon is photo. No. Using AI now, all the photos, unstructured data, are actually data, right? You're seeing the images. We can convert the images into, say, 3 females and 4 male. So in fact, showing images, unstructured data, even voices, we can convert it into analyzable data. So when we're saying that showing images to you is more convincing, actually we are using data to convince you, right? So I think it's very important. In fact, every day of us, we are communicating, right? Without communicating, whether in Cantonese, English, or Mandarin, we are using a language, your comfortable language to communicate. But today, it's not good enough. In the digital economy, we need to learn one more language, which is data. And you think about data, it's very traditional Excel spreadsheet, right? The example I just talked about is image is actually a kind of data, right? If you're using it well and also making use of AI today, then definitely we will giving a lot more convincing, compelling messages in every one of your communication. So we will talk about this in the next probably 60 minutes or so, right? So that's the introduction. Why I mentioned diversity. So Howard mentioned about, do you still remember 35%, I guess, and 65% female and male, right? And plus all the images we just show you, all the women's club or whatever you talk about in the alumni. So the messages Howard want to convince to you is through data. Otherwise, it's very difficult for you to remember it, right? So this is one thing. And he also mentioned about networking, where it's all about, very important thing about EMBA, networking. So we talk about 1 to 6 or 1 to something. He mentioned about Biden, right? I hope one day, somebody can introduce me to Biden. But anyway, it's number again, right? It's very convincing. If I say, okay, somebody will recommend somebody to you, it's not convincing enough. When we talk about the principle 1 to 6, it's much more convincing. So I just give you 2 examples how important data is in every one of our conversations today. But the old world and today's world, we have much more data that we can make use of than when we get our PhD and doctor many, many years ago. Right? Now we have all the data around us, structured data and also unstructured data. Remember, any guess, when I said I want to make you warm, that means I not only myself warm, I also want you to be warm up as well, right? So give me a guess. In the whole world, if this is the whole universe, all the data in the universe, when we talk about structured data, that means all the data you can store in a table, for example, Excel spreadsheet. And unstructured data, we talk about the images, voices, everything you post on Instagram, everything you post on Facebook, your email, your website is all unstructured data. All the CCTV, all that video is all unstructured data. If I want you to guess the percentage here, X percentage and Y percentage here, how much data is unstructured? How much data is structured in the world? What do you think? Anyone want to try? Any guess? You know, Edmund knows my trick. I usually don't ask questions for the people in front of me because this is free sitting. When they come into the room, just like all the EMBA students, when they come in the room, free sitting. If they're very interested in my topic, they will just sit in front of me. Even I don't ask them questions, they will ask me questions. So sometimes I doubt about at the back. Why you pick the seat at the back rather than the front? So I ask you, this handsome guy. So what do you think about the structured and unstructured data? What's the percentage? What do you think? Just a guess. 70-30. All right, 70 is structured or unstructured? Unstructured. All right, good. So we got first question. Thank you so much. 70%. So this is 30%. This is the first guess. Any more guess? Oh, 99% unstructured. That means 1% structured. All right. One more. I give to the good student. Hey, hi, Chris. Hi, Randy. Welcome. I give you one more chance. 2080. All right, good. So we have 3. 2080. So I have 1, 2, 3. My promise is keep everybody warm. So we have 3 choices here. Why don't we do a polling? Polling, right? Who says number 1? Raise your hand. 30%, 70%. You have just 1? How about 2? Who said number 2? Okay, we have probably 10 people here. How about number 3? Any hands? Wow, majority, probably 20 people. Good guess. So at least we know that it's not 50-50, right? It's much more than that. Well, this is the right answer, but this is not wrong. Because this is getting down and this is getting up. Look at these. When you're using WeChat and WhatsApp, 10 years ago, we used to text. Now we use what? Voice, right? WeChat and WhatsApp. So the number of unstructured data is actually getting more and more. Structured data is getting less and less in terms of percentage, correct? So we need to think about this. So this is the opportunity. So when I use the example, diversity, when we talk about numbers, adding together the images, now it's much more powerful. So I say everything, I involve you, I use voting, is what we call data storytelling. Right? It's just the number, but also how you deliver the message using the numbers. Right? You might have rocket science data scientists in your company. It doesn't mean every one of you in your company know how to make use of the data, how to convince the other side. Could be your customers, could be your client customers, partners, investors, your bosses, your colleagues, your peers, your subordinates. So that's the power of data. So we'll talk about this. Well, warm up a little bit. Good? Yeah, let's continue. So, all right. This is me again. This is images, right? So, but look at the back of the wall. This is the message I want you to remember when you leave this room. It's not my face. It's the words behind me. What is that? Data is the voice of our customers. How many times do you see your customer every month? How many times you see your customer every day? I don't think you will see your customer every day. Depends on your industry. Right? How much do they tell you? Okay, I do all the survey. I do pilot study. Right? I do all the questionnaires. I have worked very hard to collect information for our customers. Unfortunately, they won't tell you the truth. Right? How many times when somebody call you, when you have a good dinner and call you, good afternoon, sir. Can I have your 3 minutes? I want to do a survey. Do you like my services? Oh, yes. No, yes, yes. Can I hang up now? Okay, thanks. Right? You're not going to get all the true answers. But fortunately, because a lot of data out there these days, we can actually tap into this data to understand what our customer really want or don't want. That's very important. But this job cannot just leave it to the data scientists. I tell you a little bit more. If you are luckily, you have a data scientist in your company. If not, then how are we going to deal with this world? How we can actually, do you have to love data? You don't have to love data. But when I ask you this question, when you ask your staff one question, you can decide whether you can fire him or her or love him or her. There's one question you ask your staff, and you can tell whether you want to fire them or you will love them very much. What is that magic question? It's related to what I just talked about. In fact, I haven't finished my first line. I already used 15 minutes. But it's very important to talk about this. So when I say you don't have to love data, I'm not a data scientist. I'm not a tech guy. Why bother? 關我咩事? Right? 關我咩事? But when you ask your staff, do you like your customers? So if they said no, do you care about your customer? If they say no, then this is the guy you want to fire first, right? So, but if you really care about customer, then you need to speak the language of data, because the data is the voice of our customer. Simply as that, period. Right? So in this day, in the digital world, if you don't have this mindset, if you don't nurture your colleagues to have this mindset, I would say that you will not survive that long. I always ask my students, Chris and Edmund, they're my EMBA student. The question I always ask them is, what should you do differently today? And then you can survive. What you should do differently from yesterday, so you can survive today. I use the word survive. Okay, think about this. Okay, so you will get a lot of question marks when you come to any one of my sections. Even you come into my EMBA class, you have all the questions on your mind. That is what I want you to have. You need to know what you don't know. Right? That is very important. All right, let me finish this slide. Right? So this is only the introduction of my background, but it doesn't matter, right? So John already have a very good introduction of me. But I want to come up with just echo to Howard. I also, besides my experience in innovation technology industry, so on and so forth, so active, I also do writing. Right? I finished one case already, which is HSBC. And then I have another case is coming, is Zhou Daifuk, and also Airport Authority of Hong Kong. So this is very important to keep learning. Okay, when you come to EMBA classes, you will pick up this attitude and mindset as well. In fact, I learned from Chris, I learned from Edmund as well. Right? This is a community, not just professor teaching you, but also is a communication that helping each other to learn. And also, one more thing is very excited for myself. If I haven't taught EMBA for the last 3 years, I won't be able to do this. I'm writing another book after the first book. Chris, Edmund, this is exactly what you learned from my classmates. 6 dilemmas in digital transformation. I'm writing this book. I consolidate all my experience in the last 3 years when I was teaching EMBA. I'm going to publish another book, hopefully by the middle of this year. So this is something I keep learning. So I'm very excited about this as well. So more about me, go to my LinkedIn. Right? I want to show you this. This is the classroom. Exactly this classroom, look like this classroom. Exactly this classroom. So you can actually see Chris here. This is too small here, but you can see the real person here. And I think Edmund is somewhere there. Edmund, can you find yourself there? I think you're somewhere there. Yeah, right here. This funny guy. So you can see a lot of fun and learning, group projects, and this is some of the guest speakers from Amazon, CLP, Foodpanda, and also Siemens. And that's what you want to feel. It's not only me teaching you, but all my network in the ecosystem. They are going to share with you, right, about innovation and technologies, about data, about AI, about blockchain, emerging technology, how we apply, how we solve the real business problem using technology and innovation, right? So that's all about this. So I'm going to try to, right, using very limited time, try to answer these 3 questions, right? Again, I'm not teaching you. I'm facilitating you to think about it, right? The first one is, why is that so urgent, right? Data, 關我咩事, right? Why it matters, right? It's all IT department, data scientist job. Why bother? The first one. The second one is asset. Some of you are in the financial services area, investment area. You know asset much more than me. But now I have a very good asset, much stronger than you. This is what we call the data asset. When we call data is an asset, that means we can use data to make money. To use data to make money. Sometimes we call data monetization. How to use data to make money. That's a very important pearl of your company. If you can make use of data and treat data as your asset, you can monetize it. Right? I show you some example later on. The third one is data literacy. Why we don't call it data skills? Why we don't call it data training? We call it data literacy. It's a language. Language is something you use every day. Language is something you use to communicate with others. Language is not only the IT guys and data scientists talk about. Every business person and operation person like you, every C-level like you, every one of us need to speak this language. In Chinese, I call it 兩文四語, particularly for Hong Kong context. Right? In Hong Kong, we need to have 2兩文三語, right? Now, in the digital world, much bigger world, we need to have 兩文四語. We got to pick up the language of data. Every conversation, if you do not have data to back you up, if you do not have the visuals to back you up, if you don't know how to tell the data story, you are going to losing your competitive edge. You as a leader, you need to empower yourself and also everybody around you, your employees, your staff, and even your partners in your ecosystem to be able to speak the language of data. Right, these 3 questions. Let's try to, first question, competing with new disruptor in the digital economy. Why bother, right? We talk about, why bother, right? Is IT doing it? Data team doing it? Why? Let me keep you warm again. Show me some hands. Who is your major competitor in the next 3 years? Incumbent companies in your industry? Tech giants and platform. We have one here already. Chris is working for AWS. We have startups like Ammon. And then we have cross-industry. What is cross-industry? That means somebody from other industry getting into your industry and beating you. Right? That's called cross-industry challenges. Think about this. Which one you think will be your major competitors in your next 3 years? Okay, ready? Show me some hands. Who says number 1? Still your old competitors in your same industries. No one? Second, who says tech giants? A few? 3 or 4. Actually, Chris will tell you, we actually co-create. We are partners. We are not competitors, right? Right? Number 3, startups. Anyone? We have 1, 2, 3. Oh, not too small. Wow, well, 4, 5. 3. How about cross-industry? Oh, so many. Interesting. Let me ask. So in your mind, so what kind of industry you are in now?
Renewable energy.
Renewable energy. So what do you see in the next 3 years? What's the cross-industry challenges you think about?
Things more enterprises or market looking for.
Yeah, please.
I think more because the more companies and enterprises are looking for kind of ESG, right? So I think green and also carbon neutral is all people, companies looking for.
Yep.
That's why I think even we also talk about carbon credit, actually. So I think more and more enterprises from different industries will looking into this market and try to take something out.
Very good. Since you are a good participant and very good answer, I give you one more chance to answer deeper question. Give them mine. Do you think they're real? You're seeing that they are your competitors in the next 3 years. Do you think there's a chances that you can collaborate and become partners rather than competing directly with the competitor in your mind?
I think actually sometimes competitors can be also cooperators. So sometimes we call it
Co-competition, like
yeah.
cooperation.
Yeah.
Very good mindset. In fact, in the digital world, right? So thank you. So when we talk about data, it's also true. In the larger perspective, in the ecosystem, we have so many chances we can collaborate. So in my class, if you join, we'll talk more about this collaboration. But today we talk about data. Data is also very important in terms of collaboration. Nobody in the whole world, no single company, they have all the data they need to understand their customers. So if you really want to understand your customer, you need to identify what we call the data collaborators. That means how you can find other companies to collaborate together using the data. We call it all these dots, or you can say digital footprints across in different companies, right? So how you can connecting all the dots together so you can understand through these, right? Data is the voice of a customer. Unfortunately, not all the data are in your company, right? How we can collaborate with all other companies that we can make sure that we can understand a customer much better. So we can offer them, we can solve their pain points much better. So this combination, this company and this company together, they collaborate using data, will be stronger than other companies. Even they're bigger, but they do not have the full picture. They do not have all the dots they can connect together. So now you're getting the feel. When we talk about data, it's not technology only. It's not something toys of the data scientist. It's business. That's why you need to learn, because there's so many things you need to collaborate. So many, because it's data asset. You can monetize the data. It's all business. If you are a leader of your company, I don't care which industry you're coming from, if you do not have this capability on making use of this data asset to make everybody speak the language of data, you sooner or later, you cannot survive, right? So it's very important, a leader. We talk about EMBA student. We expect all our EMBA students are the leaders for the future. So after you graduate from our EMBA student, like Chris and Edmondson, if you cannot grab the language of data, I'm not doing a good job. So I need to make sure all the EMBA students from CU Hong Kong who took my classes, they are data literate. It's very important with all this mindset. All right, let's move on. Thank you for your voting. So in fact, we are facing 4 different types of competitors or disruptors we talk about. Right? We just mentioned about, very funny, you guys think about these, etc. In fact, it's not only you, but all the retailers, this is the automakers, and also e-commerce players are getting into financial services. So all the bankers, insurance company, they cannot sleep at night because their competitors is not from the banking sector, it's not from the industry, insurance sector. They're coming from all over different types of industries. So in your industry, think about, if you think you're safe, think again. You're not that safe. You feel safe because you do not see your competitors. When you can see your competitors, you cannot sleep tonight. Right? So we always need to have a sense of urgency. If you have the sense of urgency, you need to make your staff, your colleagues, your management peers have that kind of urgency. Wake them up. That's why I always ask my EMBA students what you should do differently from yesterday so you can survive today. Keep the sense of urgency. In this digital world, if you do not have the sense of urgency, you'll die soon. If you don't die, it's just cooking a frog on the warm water. 溫水煮蛙. 溫水煮蛙. Okay, clear? Cantonese? Right? All right, move on. Why they're so powerful? The best kept secret, you think they're big, but these guys are small. These guys don't understand your industry. Why they can reach you across the border? The secret is data. Right? By making use of data, you can cross the border because once you make use of data to understand your customers, nothing can stop you to sell anything to that person because you understand him or her 360 degrees. Right? So that's why platform is so powerful because platform, most of the tech giant platforms, they have a way to collect all the data. They make use of data, understand you. They will be much powerful to any products selling on their platform because they understand their customer through data better than all the single products selling on their platform. Right? So data is the best kept secret of all these four major competitors in your mind. Think about WeLab, why they're so powerful. It's a small guy, right? Why they're so powerful? Because they're using many years to accumulate enough data to build models so they can use to calculate credit, right? So if you're just a old-fashioned credit company, you're not going to beat them, right? Because they can price better, they can do underwriting better, they can manage the risk assessment better, right? All sort of thing is data, right? So all these companies, I don't need to name them. You all know about them, right? They do not have physical asset. They will not have physical asset, but all of them, they have one single asset called data asset. That actually can make them as big as them now, right? I'll just give one example. You won't get all the answers today. Using 60 minutes, I'm not going to tell you everything. I'm not able to tell you everything. Right? But at least you start to have some question marks when you leave this room, right? So this is what we call the flywheel, right? You ask Amazon, they will tell you a little more about flywheel. But when you apply data to the flywheel, what does it mean? Why Netflix is so powerful, so successful? Why Netflix is so powerful? You do think they are just a rental? Just doing online, rent all these video, movies, and TV series? Of course not. The best kept secret for them is what we call the virtuous cycle of data. Look at this chart. When you have more users, right, users will tell them what they need through data, right? And when you have more data, you can make your recommendation engine much more accurate. When the recommendation is more accurate, the people will use Netflix to rent more stuff. And then you have more users, more data. That is never ending. This is a cycle, right? If you just a middleman, just rent, sell, and buy, you do not have that kind of data capability, you're not going to have the virtuous cycle of data. That's why all the middlemen, all the traditional resellers are dying or already died. It's because they do not have the capability of data. Again, okay, is this stuff only done by the data scientists? No. Because all the data will be available to all the employees. If you can empower the employees to make use of data, every day they will solve the problem using the data. Okay, why the people are complaining? What sort of color I should use so I can attract my client to subscribe, increase the conversion rate. If you ask the data scientists every day, every second, that's not going to help you. We need to democratize. We're not talking about politics. Democratize is not only politics. Democratize that means to make everybody can make use of data. We call it democratize. So Netflix, on one hand, they get this flywheel going. On the other hand, they democratize this data literacy to everyone in the company so they can tell the voice of the customers through daily use of data. All right, so this is a very important message because most of the data analytics, big data, data science, talk, I think you have been so many before. Right, they're more focusing on the data science, how to build a good model, make it more accurate, right, do machine learning, and then you will leave the room immediately because we talk about machine learning, supervised learning, unsupervised learning, deep learning. Oh, it's not my stuff, right? Leave it to IT, leave it to data. Today, I want to deliver a message to you. You need to own this and make sure your colleagues to pick up this language, right? Even though you have all these genius data scientists in your company, it doesn't mean you can do something like Netflix or Airbnb or all these people, right? You need to have this data culture, data mindset, and data literacy, right? So compare a traditional company with a tech giants or unicorn startups. This is the three major differences. Customer-centric, data, insight, and last but not least is the open platform. So when we talk about collaboration, data collaboration, we talk about partnership, we talk about the open innovation. So we will talk more about that when we talk about innovation. So today we talk about data, right? Data insight. And also by doing data, again, you don't have to love data, but you need to love customers. So being able to be customer-centric actually drives you to use more data. On the other hand, when you have the capability to use data, you can understand your customer better. You can be more customer-centric. Right? So this is a cycle. I'll give you an exercise. Right? Gandalf is the DBS, very famous benchmarking model. Right? D in the middle is DBS. The other 6, if you can read the logo, you know, right? I just give you a test. Not my student, they know it already, right? So how about all you? So if DBS want to learn one single thing from each one of the 6 companies, what do you think they want to learn from? Anyone try? I'll give you a tough one. Actually, an easy one. Apple. What do they want to learn from Apple? DBS. Very close. Very close. User-friendliness, that means it's customer, right? So how you can be more customer-centric to design something customer really want, right? Bank usually do not have that because they don't face customers every day, right? So they do not have customer-centric. How about Amazon? Anyone? How about my friend, right? So what do you think the DBX want to learn from Amazon? Dickie. Data analytics, that's good, right? So Amazon is everything online, right? They have a super platform. They live or die with data. They recommend something to their customers, right? They want to gain the trust from the customers and also from the merchants, right? How DBS as a bank can learn how to be a right platform or more importantly, how to be made trusted advisors. So your recommendation, how many cold calls do we receive every day from banks? I receive a lot. Right? Mortgage, loan, credit card, right? Investment, all cold calls. That means they do not calculate it, or they do not enough analysis. But look about all these Amazon and Netflix. They live or die on their recommendation engine, right? How we can learn from them as a bank, how we can learn. This is very important. So if you are in your industry, how do you do recommendation? How do you gain trust from your customer? Do you depend on your salespeople? Do it depend on the CEO to talk to the customer? How do you gain trust from the customer? Have you considered how to make use of data to gain trust from your customer? Right? Business, right? Customers. So when you walk out this room, don't think about data as IT stuff. Data is a business. Data is customers, right? Right. So this is the answers. So DBS don't benchmark themselves with Citibank or even Goldman Sachs. They benchmark with all these tech platforms to learn the best thing that they want to learn and is missing in the banking industry. Right? If you benchmark with your own industry, 塘水滾塘魚，海軍鬥水兵。I cannot use English to say it, but in Cantonese you know understand it, right? So we need to benchmark. When you're saying that the next 3 years, you know who is a competitor, not the one in your industry. Then you have to do something differently, right? So you need to benchmark. If you put your company, I also ask my students, if you put your company here, say for example your company starts from C, who should be on your right-hand side? Who should be on your left-hand side? In other words, who should you benchmark with in order to survive today? Right? Think about this. And another question. So I'm burning your brain, right? So it's good. That's what I want. If you don't think, you won't learn. Right? So this is something we really focus on. Second part, very importantly, when I say data is business, that means on one hand, it can make your customer happier. On the other hand, to make you make more money, help you make more money. We call it monetization. How can we do that? So, most valuable is not just saying, right? It actually is the most important resources. But rather than you think data is giving you some insight, not only give you insight, but also can give you money, right? When we talk about data, when we're doing analysis, insight, you think that's it. I can make a better decision. No, it's not limited by making better decision. There's a journey for you to monetize data to give you another very important revenue stream that you can make money. Maybe when your old business die, you already have a new business coming out and become your main business. Main business. Think about Facebook. Think about Tencent. Okay, what is the major revenue stream? When you're using Facebook, when you're using Tencent WeChat, do they charge you a dime? They don't charge you anything. How do they make money then? How? Advertising. Why they don't go to the 4C company to do advertising? Why they put money on Tencent and Facebook? Why? There's so many traditional, famous, commercial advertising company out there. So they are the traditional players, right? So why they spend money on Tencent? Why they spend money on Facebook? Why? Yeah, because they understand customer better than the traditional advertising company. Why they understand the customer better? Because data is the voice of our customers, right? Think about these. No matter how strong you are today, right? You are going to be bit by all these disruptors if you do not have a great capability and mindset on data, right? So this is something we talk about. So the whole shift is from asset heavy to asset light. So we used to have all the machines, and then we can make money, right? Produce product, right? And then we sell products like branding, for example, LV, right? So all this kind of thing, you need to manufacture the product, your branding, and all this stuff to make money. It's very heavy. Is that a better way? Is that a more intelligent way to make money? Yes, we do. But we just don't know how to do it, right? These guys are so smart, right? Why we need to do the tough job, like these guys, heavy asset. I always tell my advising startup, think about this model, the best model in town. The best model in the world is what? You are in a startup, right? So what's the best business model you want to get as a startup? Emmett as well. Do you go heavy asset or you go light asset? Light asset, right? So light asset. But I tell you a secret, right? You come here for these. This is, I think, probably can make you a billionaire in the future. So remember me, right? When you did. The best model is when you are sleeping, you are still making money. Think about this. If your business model is not something like this, there's still some rooms for you to optimize it, right? When you are sleeping, you're still making money. Think about Facebook, think about Tencent. Are they doing this? Right? They're making money when everybody is sleeping. Right? Think about this. But think about, so frustrated. I'm still get stuck in my heavy asset industry. Am I going to die? If you don't do anything, you're going to die. But there's always something you can turn around it. On one hand, you can do a lot of automation, a lot of technology, IoT, AI, you can improve this. On the other hand, somebody missing it. GE is doing a lot of things, trying to do manufacturing 4.0, digital twins and things like that. It's the right thing to do, right? But another thing you need to do is to think about, do you, as a GE or all other old-fashioned leaders, do you have a light asset strategy? On one hand, you want to optimize your heavy asset business. But on the other hand, do you have a light asset strategy? That means, do you have a data monetization strategy? Right? Otherwise, you will get into that loop. No matter how you optimize it, you're going to die. But on the other hand, if you have another path to do the light asset strategy, you're going to have another path, another journey. And that can bring you a lot of business and future, right? So this is something, this is trend, right? The traditional asset will grow only slightly, but the intangible asset is going to go big. So whether you're here or whether you already have a strategy here to get that bigger pie, right? That is something I talk about, right? If you do not have it, you are probably in trouble. Okay? So there's a way to monetize data. That will spend about another 3 months to talk about it. But I would like to show you there's a way you can monetize data. And also, is when you're doing data analytics, we are not just talking about just using some BI tools to do some dashboard and make better decisions. This is the minimum stage. If you haven't reached this, you need to get much faster. But the value of data or data monetization actually have 4 different ways you can monetize data progressively. You need to go on this path, right? So on one hand, is internally you can improve your process, improve your customer experience. Okay, that's something you need to work on. But externally, we can offer our products. We can create our own data products, sell our data products, and also create new business model. We just talk about making use of data. So there's different ways that we can monetize data. That's something, if you haven't done so, you need to have a strategy on that. Otherwise, you'll get into that loop, right? And you'll be in trouble. Okay. So when you start, you will think about data is a cost. right? Your IT department, even your user department want to do a data project, and you think that, wow, you spend another money, I don't want to spend it. Right? But when you see the data monetization phases we just talked about, the investment will return at this level, right? And you will much better off when you're getting this, right? So think about this, right? You need to invest. It's not a cost. You need to invest to make the data clean, rich enough, make it accessible to all your employees, get all your employees data literate, okay? And then the data monetization will come. Of course, you need to have a practice all these 5 phases of data monetization, from cost to value generation. So again, don't look at the data analytics, it's only give you business insight. Look at all these possibilities to monetize data, right? Optimization, for example, if you do an analysis using data, right, not the data scientist. For example, you're working for marketing, you're working HR. You're seeing the people are working in different process. By looking at all this data, you find out we should change the process, and then it will save 30% of our costs. It will enhance the customer experience by 20%, engagement by 20%. So when you convert this 20% to 30%, it's actually dollar terms, money, right? So you don't have to sell data product. By making use of data to understand the process better, to change it to better customer experience, better operation, you're actually making money because you save that. And why do people believe that? I have been doing this for 10 years. Why I need to change the process? This is data. You don't believe me? I show you the data. All right? The data told us to do that, not you and me by gut feeling. Then you can convince those stubborn guys. For the last 20 years, I've been doing it. I face so many in HSBC, sorry about this. But we have to use data to convince my colleagues to change it, right? So that's why you and me as a layman, not IT and not data scientists, you need to have this kind of capability to speak data. I convince you to change this process. Why should I believe you? Show me the data. Yes, I can show you data. If we do not have data, I back off. Sorry, I don't want to bother you anymore, right? So think about this. So when you have much better data literacy, you can change that, you can monetize it better. Staff at all levels. Okay, remember that? In this path, you want to go up this path, you need to do this. You need to enable everyone to speak the language of data. Okay, second part. Any questions so far? So the first part, we talk about why. Because we are facing 4 different types of competitors. They are very, very strong in data. The second part is it's very important to look at how we monetize the data. You need to convince yourself. You need to convince your management why I need to have a data culture in my company. Does it mean opportunities to us? Yes, data monetization, right? So in these 2 parts, actually in sync with each other. One is urgency. One is money, right? Data monetization. Now, the third part is what is data culture then? And what is data literacy? Why is it important? Right? If we have data scientists already, we have IT team already, why bother to democratize it? Right? So this is the third part we talk about this. So we talk about Netflix, why don't we talk about Airbnb? Give you another question. So warm you up again, right? So if Marriott is 48 billion as a market cap, how about Airbnb? What do you think? Marriott is the largest hotel chain in the world. The market cap is 48 billion. So my question is, how much is Airbnb worth? Okay, let's try. 1 billion? 10 billion? 50 billion? Okay. 100 billion? Okay, good. The answer is 100 billion. Right? So they're not just bigger than Marriott. Marriott, Hilton, Intercontinental, Hyatt, adding all together is less than 100 billion US dollars. Airbnb, 100 billion US dollars. Light asset, right? Light asset. So how do they make it? Data. So they explicitly saying that that's what I learned from them. Data is the voice of our customers. If you don't care customers, you're not our employee. If you care about customers, everyone need to pick up data. Everyone need to speak data. So this is Airbnb. So they train everyone, empower everyone to speak the language of data. What does it mean? That means they make the data accessible to all employees using all the internal APIs, okay, microservice. And then we have the data tools, help them to use, learn to use, and then give them enough training, not only the skills, but also mindset training. Change the mindset. When we see a problem, when we need to communicate with somebody, think about how we can make use of data. Right? This is the mindset change. And then you tell them the skill set. Mindset is different from skill set. A lot of people learn a lot of products and software, but they don't use it. But when we change the mindset, that means making use of data can help you communicate, help you win over cases. Okay, then they will have the motivation to learn and use the tools, use the data. So you need to understand the differences between mindset and skill set. A lot of training, HR give you a lot of training, the people still don't use it because they teach you skills. They did not change your mindset. So that's why we need to change the mindset. This data education is actually data culture change. So with that, so they'll be able to do a lot of data analytics, right? This is like predictive, progressive, collectively, something scare you. But very importantly, they are supported by all the employees. They're doing a lot of, for example, you build a model to predict somebody what kind of location they want, right? And you need to massage data. The data science team in Airbnb will work with the salespeople and marketing people looking at the data and how to clean the data, how to get different data sources so they can make sense to build a model. And when they push it out to recommend some location to their guests, if it's not working, the salespeople, the marketing people will feed back to the data science team so they can change the algorithm. So this is a what? A collaboration between the data science team and also the user, the marketing team and sales team. So if you only do, I hired MIT data scientists to help you in Airbnb. If the user do not have this kind of data languages, you're not going to work. That's why this collaboration is very important, right? So what MIT talk about it? MIT talk about data literacy. So data literacy is, do you speak data? When you go to an interview of all this data culture, company that have very strong data culture, they will ask you a question. Besides you speak Chinese and English, what kind of other language do you speak? And you will say Japanese, Russian, Italian, French, right? I tell you, it's very impressive. You say, I also speak the language of data. I will hire you, right? I don't know the others, right? If that company have a very strong data culture, they will hire you. Smart guys or smart girl, you know to speak the language of data, right? So whatever, what we mean by data literacy? Read, work with data, analyze data. I like this one, how they describe it. What is this? Argue with data. So every time we have communication, we have argument. For example, I want to change the process. It's not working. You said not working, you said not working. Who is right, who is wrong? I use data to prove it. If I question about you, I will ask you, how do you know? Show me the data. If you cannot show me the data, I can show the data, I win. This is what we call argue with data. Do you have this capability? When you have communication with your colleagues, partners, investors, and even competitors. When we competing with other vendors, try to sell to the same customers. If I were the customer, I'll ask you, why should I believe you? Show me the data. If I can show, my competitor cannot show, I win. Right? So this is how. So we can monetize the data more effectively if we can pick up the data literacy. So I skip the detail here. So in every organization in today's world, you need to have 3 levels of data skills and mindset. One is, of course, is data scientist. And then we have 2 levels. One is the data citizen and also citizen data scientist. Everyone, the basic entry level is data citizen. That means you have the mindset and appreciate the use of data, right? You ask the question. When somebody propose something to you, when somebody argue with you, you will ask 2 questions. How do you know? Show me the data. When you want to convince somebody, you do the same. This is the data citizen. Citizen data scientist, you know how to massage data, prepare some of the analysis, but you are not a data scientist. You don't need to have a PhD degree from a data science program. Data science, they know how to build models. They know about all these supervised learning, unsupervised learning, deep learning, all this kind of stuff. Right? So this is don't believe me, right? Believe all these geniuses, right? Citi, the chief data scientist, then what he said, I don't want to have 200 data scientists. I need to have over 10,000 people. They know a little bit about data scientists in order to make my work effectively, right? So this is something we want. So everybody will making use of data to solve problem, work together with the data scientist. This beautiful lady is not just beautiful, but smart. Because as a data citizen, what we mean is think like a data citizen. That means solve problem when we tackle a problem, business problem. We'll think about how to use data to do it. That's think like a data scientist. And second one is design thinking centric. It means customer centric. Last but not least, economics. I do so much stuff there using data. How do I monetize it? What does it mean is the return on investment? Right? So this is data scientist. Last but not least, so you need to collaborate with the data scientists. They build a model, they tune all these models, they will, train the model and help all these users to solve problems. So this is teamwork. So again, when we talk about data literacy, a language, that means we really pick it up. It's also the mindset. You need to speak, you think, and act. The data culture change. Left, right brain, you know that, right? The left brain is logic. The right brain is more emotional. So in order to understand customer better, you need to use both brains, both sides of the brain. That means you need to have empathy to understand the customer. You also need to use data to understand your customer. You can grab both, you will be better than all other competitors, right? So that's why we need to use that. Again, don't believe me alone. What about DBS CEO Gupta? What he said? He built a culture, data culture, for the whole DBS. Every time they have conversation, they will ask these 2 questions. How do you know? Show me the data. They don't even allow people to use PowerPoint, PPT, because PPT can be BS. But if you're using data, there's no BS, right? So you use data and be able to tell the story using data. That's something they train every employee to do that, right? So that's why when we talk about data literacy, we talk about these 3 things. Whatever communication you want to do, you need to back up by data, right? IT and data team, they need to make this data available to all employees. Second, you need to pick the right visuals. what kind of charts, what kind of graph you need to use it in order to demonstrate your data much easier to understand. Last but not least, narrative, how you can use your language to communicate, to do the data storytelling, right? So this is something what we call a real data scientist, a data citizen, sorry. All right, don't believe me alone. How about Canon CEO? What did he say? Story without data is not convincing. Okay, everybody, you know, if a good salesman, they're always good at the story, right? But they do not have data, right? But only data without story is not convincing too. All the quants, the math, the scientists, right? So we need to inject the data culture from the senior level, data leaders. So I always do a lot of senior executive roundtable to make sure the senior management convinced about this data culture, those they will support. So the citizen data science, we also train a group of change agents in the company, laymen, business people. They are very enthusiastic about data. So they drive this data culture change in the department. Last but not least is the layman, everyone in the company, to believe in data and have this data mindset. So I also set up what we call the Data Literacy Association's NGO, trying to drive this data culture, data literacy in Hong Kong. So hope we can help Hong Kong to be more competitive by making use of data. Not only one or two companies, they have capability to do that. So my members are all the data leaders in large and small enterprises, right? And another one of my company is actually doing this program to empower everyone, to bring in the data culture to the company. I won't go into detail, but this is actually something we really want to help Hong Kong companies to become data literate. So this is some of the company, you know, already adopt this data literacy empowerment program, including banks, large groups, and so on and so forth. Right? So if you want to know more, let me know. Okay, the key takeaway. So this is a demonstration of the EMBA class, right? So we have a lot of questions you need to think about. We have votings. We get you involved. The only thing we don't do today is the breakout sections with the case study. We all used to have case study and then give you some question for you guys to discuss. And then we have discussion as well. I call it ping pong, 打乒乓波. Right? So when you say something, I will say something. When you say something, I will say something. Right? So this is ping pong. So I want you to think about it, right? Even though it's not exact the EMBA class, but I always leave you with this line. When you come here, you don't want to do dreaming, right? You want to learn something. So if I ask you tonight, right, what did you pick up? What is 3 key takeaway that you pick up tonight? And you can write it down and keep it yourself. This is all yours, right? Put it on your pocket. If you go out without any thinking, without this crystallized, this 3 key takeaway, you come here probably wasting your time and wasting my time, right? So it's very important to think about what are your 3 key takeaways today. Everyone will be different because your background is different. I think about that. You can share with me through LinkedIn or all other means, right? So that will be very useful.